So, you want to be a beach house fan, huh? Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Objectively Bad Music Podcast. And today we are going to be making a video that is more of a tool or a guide for aspiring fans of various bands, in this case, Beach House, rather than my typical ramblings and rants that will probably be the more common form of video in this series. But without further ado, let's get on to talking about one of my favorite bands of all time, Beach House. So Beach House is my personal favorite modern band. I would consider modern to be any band whose prevalence was in the 2010s or up, and Beach House takes the cake by far. I love beautiful music, and it very seldomly gets more beautiful than a Beach House album. So what is Beach House? Who are they? Beach House is a two-man group, one of which is a woman, and the other one is a man. So we have essentially just simply a vocalist and a guitarist. That is the entire group. It is a duo of those two people. Their names, Victoria Legrand. She plays the keyboard and sings, and then we have Alex Scally, and he is mainly the guitarist. What these two do together is essentially make slow, atmospheric, dreamy, beautiful music. I'd consider their genres to be dream pop, shoegaze, some of their darker songs could be more of like a neo dark wave. Almost kind of gives inklings of that 80s gothic dark wave sound, but typically with a bit of more shimmer on top. You could also classify some of the more up-tempo songs as just simply synth pop, but if I were to describe them as one genre, I'd say mainly dream pop, which is essentially pop music that uses a lot of electronic sounds to make a dreamy, ethereal, atmospheric listening experience, as opposed to something you can throw on in a party setting, you know. So I'm going to give you guys my recommendations for songs, and I'll have a playlist in the description. Not only will I do songs, but I'll also do albums and whatever else comes up along the way. So let's first start with songs. So I'm gonna talk about each song, give a little bit of a description for it, and then I would hope that you guys choose to listen to the playlist in order, as I've kind of made it a sort of album-esque experience with highs and lows and more of a interesting order of operations as opposed to all of one emotion and then a secondary emotion and a tertiary emotion. I've tried to keep it more all over the place so you guys can get a nice sample size of Beach House's sound in as few songs as possible. So I started the starter pack with the song, Leo Canu. I don't know what this word is. It's French, and I have not learned that word or how to say it. So my bad. It's probably something along those lines. Why I chose this song is I think it's a great introductory song to Beach House. It's a great example of Beach House's beautiful sound. And the intro of the song is just so... Subarus. Anyways, the intro of the song is so attention-grabbing and gorgeous that the moment you hear that intro, you're gonna be hooked. It is so gorgeous. You have these breathy vocals being repeated with a slight delay, and they start getting layered on top of each other. You start having the guitar come in and different instruments come in. It sounds amazing. Gorgeous intro. Immediately attention-grabbing, in my opinion. And it showcases their ability to make great and beautiful, spacey, ethereal music through those layered vocals. It also uses Beach House's distinct drum machine. It almost sounds like it almost sounds to me like a tool, like a construction tool, like clanking or banging on something, almost like a hammer sound effect more than like a real drum. But that sound is very distinct to Beach House's discography, and you're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear a lot of whispery vocals as well, which is another distinctive trait of the band. But what makes this song unique is that gorgeous intro, and there is some French speaking in the song, which is, I believe, to my knowledge, the only time that they do that. I don't know if the pronunciations are very good. I would assume not, but I digress. It is not a French band. They are American, so not their strong suit. It was probably just for the sound and the vibe. Second song is Wild. So Wild is a totally different experience. This is more of a showcase of their energetic, bombastic sound. And this, in my opinion, is the best example of that more high energy, amazing atmospheric sound. So rather than slow and sort of that neo darkwave style I was talking about earlier, this song is extremely powerful. I would say it's very emotionally charged and pretty fast paced with a washed out guitar that's strumming very fast, but it's so washed out that it almost sounds like a continuous atmospheric noise. Not only that, but her vocals on top of this building powerful surging instrumentals is so amazing. She really is singing her heart out in this song. The build up and chorus give me chills every time I hear it, and I genuinely think it may be their greatest song to date. I don't think that I will ever be able to hear this song and not have it give me chills. I don't think it will ever lose that power and that potency. It is such a powerful song, especially loud, especially when you turn it up and really let her vocals just hit you like a train, but a beautiful train that sends you right up into the upper atmosphere of the sky on a beautiful dark night. I don't know, I'm losing my metaphor here, but I'm sure you kind of get the general idea of what I'm saying. So next song, Beyond Love. This is kind of the perfect quintessential beach house track. Has a slow tempo, has spacey synthesizers, washed out guitar, bit of a deep bass in the background, echoey and distinctly beach house drum machine sound, and layered whispery vocals with sad lyrics that paint beautiful imagery in the listener's mind. This and Wild were always competition for their best song, and this is just such a perfectly quintessentially beach house song. Most of the songs from Depression Cherry are kind of in this vein. So if you like this sound, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the album Depression Cherry. Now, if you're more into the sound of Wild, then I would have to recommend you the album Bloom, which is the album in which that song was made. So both of those are their top two albums. Most people do not argue that. Most people are pretty in agreement that those are their best two albums. But from another song from a different album is 10 Mile Stereo. So if Wild isn't their best powerful anthemic track, then it's definitely 10 Mile Stereo. These two songs are in a league of their own in that vein of beach house, in my opinion. The build-up is even more grandiose and powerful in this song, leading to an explosive harmony of ethereal synthesizers, washed-out drum cymbals, and the shoegaze-style guitar this time, with Victoria also singing her heart out as the song continues to build up minute by minute to be even more epic by the end of it, almost like a climactic cinema orchestra, slowly building up to the climax, and then it just pounds you in the face. This song is powerful. I promise. It is so riveting. This is an amazingly beautiful, grandiose song, and it is a highly, highly recommend for me as well. Now we move on to Space Song, back to a Depression Cherry track. This is probably their most well-known song, and it is as spacey as it gets for them. It has almost like a space rock influenced style guitar, almost kind of Floydian in the sense of the way that it's played and the tones, but obviously not that kind of rock and roll, like blues, guitar solo style stuff that Pink Floyd gets into. More so a Floyd guitar in the intro of a slower song. It also has those quintessential atmospheric synths, and this time it has more prominent keyboard work with beeps and boops that sound almost like a spaceship, which really adds to the immersive feeling of floating in space. This song does a wonderful job of making you feel like you are weightless and floating. Just listening to this song at night, whether you're driving or whether you're just laying down in bed, this is a very good nighttime song. The beautiful vocal layering too on the back half of the track is notable because it's even better, in my opinion, than many of the other songs on this list. So, amazing song, definitely not a skip. It's a must listen if you're trying to get into Beach House, for sure. Now, let's kick it to another album. This is from their second newest album. This song is called Lemon Glow, and this is a newer sound to their discography with more of a up-tempo synth pop, and this song was actually pretty popular. It features kind of the dark moodiness of their more typical work, but with a much faster tempo and extra emphasis on a deep bass and kind of a dance, not a dance ability, but like a jam ability. You can jam out to this song a little bit more than their typical stuff. It's almost like a warped, dark, psychedelic version of like your normal synth heavy pop track that you'd hear on the radio. So a little more of a contemporary popular sound, but in a very distinctly Beach House delivered way. It's very out there, psychedelic, cool, washed out, dark, moody, all of those things. Certainly not a skip, even if you're not into synth pop. It is a great synth pop track. Keeping with the new up-tempo vibe, I'm going to talk about Dark Spring, which is also from that album, which is their classic sound, but with more of a emphasis on shoegaze and jamming out, as opposed to the dream pop sound of most of their work. So this song features fast-paced drumming, and real drums this time, from what I can gather, and fast-paced guitar work over Victoria's breathy, layered, soft vocals, almost more of a My Bloody Valentine style track than like a Cocteau Twins style track. So this one's really cool. It's probably the most rock of all of the songs. So if you are a diehard rock guy, maybe this will be the track for you. But I would recommend getting through all those other songs first, as those are all brilliant songs and none of them are skips in my opinion. Now we get into more of the optional songs, not because they are any worse, but solely because this song is really long. So for those who don't like slow, long songs, this will not be your cup of tea. So this song is called Days of Candy, also from Depression Cherry, and it is a gorgeous song. If you're a fan of their more slow, atmospheric, almost ambient sound, then this 6-minute ethereal piece is going to transcend you straight into the heavens, straight into space. It is such a beautiful, soft song with heavenly choral background vocals, washed out instrumentals as always, and these dark lyrics about how quickly life passes and the passing of a loved one, but delivered in such a beautiful package that it almost loses all of its melancholy. You almost feel like it feels so heavenly that you don't realize how sad the lyrics actually are. It's sadness that is so beautiful that it's almost more beautiful than happiness, which is probably kind of cringe, but honestly, you'll understand if you listen to this song. It is really, really something else. And lastly, I thought I'd wrap it up with kind of a credits roll, so kind of a pickup from the very long and atmospheric Days of Candy, with more of a wholesome, warm sounding song from their very first album. It's actually the first track in their first album, so I thought this would be important to add, as it is where it all started, you know. So this song is called Saltwater, and it's from their first album that was released in 2006, so quite a while ago. It's a very unique sound. It's honestly kind of hard for me to describe, especially as especially as someone who isn't too versed in the names of different synths and instruments. I don't know what the sounds are that they're using in this song, but it is very cool. It has bell sounding instruments. It has this beat that sounds really crunchy and crispy, almost like it's fried, like a 8-bit style, but not too pixely and sharp like you would hear on like an Atari or something. It just kind of has that really crunchy electronic sound. If you hear it and take note of it, you'll know exactly what I mean, but I'm having a difficult time describing it. The lyrics are cool too. Very typical of Beach House to have sounds that are very warm and comforting over relatively melancholy lyrics, this time about a breakup and still being attached and not knowing how or if you'll ever be able to lose that attachment even long after the relationship is over. So yeah, if any of those descriptions interested you of any of those songs, I would recommend the entire playlist. Even if you're not into track 1, 2, or 3, maybe it'll be track 4 that gets you. You know what I mean? You never know. You can't judge a band off of one song, and typically Spotify's top 5 is kind of all music that's in the same vein because that's the sound that is the most popular. So it's going to be the sound that starts and leads the Spotify top 5. I'm sure the same goes for Apple Music and other streaming services. So I thought hearing it from a fan might be more helpful. If anyone does listen to this playlist, I'm very curious what your thoughts are. Hopefully I could convert some people into Beach House, as they are genuinely some of the best musicians in the field of like slower music that I have ever heard, and it's really not even close. There's a couple other bands that are almost in a similar vein. There's a band called Washed Out that's almost kind of more of like an indie rock synth pop version of Beach House with male vocals, and their album Paracosm is incredibly gorgeous. That album is on the level of gorgeousness that Beach House's albums are, but it's not as dark or melancholy, which I think adds a lot to the sound. I like dark melancholy music oftentimes better than happy music, just because I feel like those emotions are more real. You really feel the emotions of someone when they're making music from a strong emotional place, and usually very few emotions are stronger than sadness in people, so it feels just so much more genuine, whereas happy-go-lucky music just seems a little more artificial and forced, kind of like it's going to be a weird analogy, but early YouTubers always forced to start the video with, "Hey guys, how's it going?" with the big old fake forced smile. It just kind of makes me cringe. I do not like it. It seems so fake, and a lot of really happy-go-lucky music makes me feel the same way. So I tend to like a little bit more sad, dark music, but not in an angsty way either. A lot of my least favorite music of all time is sad. Like, we have that really angsty, cringy emo rap trend of like the late 2010s that was horrible, so bad and so popular. Oh god. Hopefully I can convert some people who are into that type of music into this, as Beach House deserves way more popularity than they have. Let's see how popular they are, as a matter of fact. On Spotify, they have 11 million monthly listeners, so that's actually pretty freaking good. That's way better than I thought. But that is a drop in the bucket compared to a lot of the emo rap artists that dominated in the late 2010s. So I'm going to do my small part and try to reverse that trend as much as I can, because I do not think that if you're going to listen to sad music that you should be wasting your time on that. Beach House is the way to go. It is gorgeous. It's going to make you feel like you're floating in space. I would highly recommend, if you like these songs, go listen to Depression Cherry, and go listen to Bloom, and then I would even recommend their second newest album, which is called 7, over some of their older stuff like Teen Dream, just because it is more up-tempo, it is more fun, and if you've already listened to Bloom and Depression Cherry, then I feel like 17 is a more unique experience than an album like Teen Dream would be. So those are my recommendations. Let me know your thoughts for the 5 people who watch this video. And I'm going to think of some other bands to do this with because I think it is a fun video to make and important messages to spread. I'm going to try to use this channel to promote some artists who really do deserve more love, and I'll do my darndest. I'll try my darndest to make that happen. So I'll start here with Beach House, as they truly, truly are one of my favorite artists of all time. And thank you for listening. I don't know how to end videos yet because I'm new to it, so awkward fade out of the audio.